Facilities Planning and Usage Committee.
Thanks for putting me on the agenda. Guys, in September, created a facilities planning and usage committee. It's my understanding that the scope of this committee is going to be to make recommendations about whether to shut a building down or not, if it should come to that. Is that accurate? Is that within the scope of this facilities?
That might be one of the things that they would do, but that is certainly not the purpose of the committee.
Correct. I understand that. But it is one of the things they'll do.
It's one of the things that they could do.
One of the things that they could do. This committee will be meeting without the public's knowledge. The public will not know when the meetings are going to take place. I assume the public's not going to know who's on the committee.
I don't know about that, but the committee would be a lot like any other study committee that we have, some of them composed of teachers, some of teachers and administrators. They meet too without the public knowing, and all they really do is make recommendation. They don't make policy, but what they do the legwork. They study things, you know, and research things, and then eventually we'll make a recommendation. This committee will make a recommendation. Then it's in the board's hands. The board is the only one that votes on these things. This committee doesn't have a vote.
Well, I'm concerned that there's going to be a discussion about closing boards specifically. This is my concern. That will take place behind closed doors rather than an open meeting. Now, it may be that you make a recommendation to this board to study whether or not to close a building at some point, or it may be that they, on their own, decide to make a recommendation to you to close a building at some point. My concern is that the public will not be allowed to participate in that discussion, not the vote, the discussion. I would like to ask the board tonight, since it's on the agenda, to consider limiting any discussion about, no, I'm not saying that right, to consider taking away the ability of this committee to discuss closing buildings specifically. If it comes up that they want to do that, I would like them to kick it up to you and for you to create a separate committee that the public would be allowed to participate in or to see. I'm asking for you to not to take away the ability of this committee to discuss that in secret. And I'm saying secret, meaning that the public's not going to have any foreknowledge about this discussion or that it's going to take place.
Do you understand that if the board were to consider closing a building, that there would be considerable public involvement?
Right, I am aware of that.
Prior to that time.
I am aware of that.
I mean, that's not something that this, or I don't think any other board would do without involving the public.
My concern is that this is such a sensitive topic that the public missing out on even the suggestion, you know, the kernel of where this is coming from would be harmful. If this is going to happen, if you guys are going to make a recommendation that this happen, or if they're going to make a recommendation to you that it happen, I'd rather see you create a separate committee to do this at that time, rather than have this committee have within its scope the discussion about closing buildings.
Where would the committee come from? Would it come from us five?
Well, you guys would appoint it just like any other committee. It would just be a special committee for that specific purpose. I mean, you could keep your committee for facilities to keep everything, you know, to speed everything along, so you don't have to sit here for 3 hours talking about what to do with buildings in the meantime. But at the point where a decision is being suggested that a building be closed, and I'm sure you guys can appreciate this being from Wall A, you create something statutorily that will, well, I don't know if you're able to do that as a board, you create something that will be open to the public from the very, very beginning, so there's no discussion missed out on, so it would avoid any, any anyone thinking that you were having discussions behind the closed doors in the first place.
So you want us to say tonight that when we get this committee together, that we can talk about buildings, but as soon as somebody brings up closing a building, we have to stop talking about it?
Not within their scope. Not within their scope of responsibilities. It would be kicked back up to you if that's what, if they decided that there needed to be a discussion, and then you guys would create another committee or talk about it in open session at that point, so that the public would be fully aware of any type of discussion that would happen regarding that. That's what I'm asking. I'm not sure how the vote would go, how you word it or anything.
I understand what you're suggesting.
Well, I'm on this committee, we haven't met yet, but I've been asked to be on